So the next one is penis rings, aka cock rings or ED rings. These are constriction rings and they go around the scrotum and or penis. They slow the blood flow of the penis when it's hard and erect. It can increase the sensation and make your erection last longer. Not always the case for some people, but it generally has those effects. So now, have you ever used a cock ring?
No, no. I was honestly like ignorantly afraid that it would get stuck.
I can
I
see
mean, if it's
that.
supposed to slow down the flow and everything like that, it's like okay. I mean, what if I just like the blood flow just doesn't stop? Like
It's only supposed to be on your penis for 10 to 30 minutes. So it's not one of those long duration session type of wears, but I guess it would be beneficial for somebody who has ED to wear it because they can at least have some kind of endurance. You know what I'm saying? So I think that may be beneficial for someone like that.
I think that is a wonderful piece of knowledge right there. Because one, I didn't know you was only supposed to wear it, temporarily. I thought you could wear it like, a ring any all day if you wanted.
Mm, I think it's because it's a constriction factor. You don't want the whole thing about that myth about blue balls. I guess they saying you don't want to start to where it starts to cut off circulation. So
So I guess under 4 hours. I
okay,
mean,
I'm
that's
done
that's
with
again.
you.
I don't know. I told you. You remember how I said ignorant?
Well, that's why we have this so we can enlighten and stimulate the mind. So the next the next one is pumps. So they're vacuum pumps or pumps that help for erection. Um, these devices are usually battery powered pumps to create suction around a penis. They can also be used on the clitoris, the vulva, or the nipples. They drive blood flow to the area that they are put on, and they increase sensitivity and sensation. They can help males to get an erection. So let's say, again, going back to ED, they can't, but this tool can help them get one. And then they also have pumps that are designed for women to help, you know, stimulate certain areas, get that blood flow going. Now,
I mean,
these
yeah.
are
Women do
one.
have big uteruses too, so yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Have you ever heard of a Benoit ball
The
or
only
Benoit
Benoit
balls?
I know, don't the only Benoit I've heard of is the dude that was in wrestling that kind of did the whole thing with his family, and yeah,
I wasn't talking about that type, but I was
that's the
talking
only type
about.
of Benoit I know of.
Okay, so Benoit balls are, or also referred to as Kegel balls or vagina balls. See where I'm going with this? They go in a woman's vagina to help her pelvic floor, to help it retain the muscles and keep things right and tight. So
Wait,
this is
wait, wait,
generally for
wait,
women
wait,
who,
wait,
after they've
wait.
had birth or who want to maintain.
Is that what that woman was doing? The one that like some years ago, like she had like weights hanging off of her vagina, or was that like was she doing that by her
No,
flaps? Okay.
she was probably doing something similar. She was probably using weights. They do have some things where you can do that with your pelvic. I know exactly what you're talking about because she had them hanging. She had something on the inside to in her, yeah, and then the the balls were hanging or weights were hanging on the outside. But no, these are specifically round balls that women insert into their vagina, and they do Kegel exercises. So their Kegel muscles, to keep them right and tight. So that way, when that time comes, everything is just right. It's a very pleasurable experience for some. And when you first start using them, it may feel a little weird or a little awkward. But the health benefits for women's pelvic floor is phenomenal. So I encourage women to look into and do more research about the Benoit balls. They are not only useful when you are engaging in intercourse, but they are useful to help, keep things right and tight, as I said before. Just saying. Now, we're almost done. We have two more. We have packers, aka prosthetics. These are objects that look and feel like a real penis. They create a bulge in your underwear or clothes. Some of them let people stand up, like let them pee while standing up. These are typically used in the trans and queer community. So women who or men who were born women who decided that they don't identify with that gender and who want to represent and show up in the world as a male can use these packers. There are some that are designed to assist them with going to the restroom while standing up. And if you're not familiar with the term
I
trans,
am. Oh,
definitely
that's you said about the item.
no, not you. Definitely check out our previous episode where we broke exactly what the term means in our last episode. So that is a perfect segue to the next one, harnesses. So straps or strap-on harnesses are garments that hold a packer, dildo, or other sex toy to the body. Some are worn like underwear or jock straps. And others may go around other parts of your body like your thigh. So basically, when trans members want to engage in intercourse, they can utilize the harness and packer or the harness and a dildo to satisfy their significant other. So that's that. I think we covered a multitude. There's plenty more. This was just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to sex toys, because as Mr. Ibad, the Zebra King, stated earlier, he mentioned bondage, which caught me by surprise. That was the part that caught me by surprise, because bondage is something that
Why?
we not in a bad way. I'm just saying, I was like, okay, I see. So you got that kind of kink. I'm all right, because my kink is like the whips, and not the hard whips, but like the whips that have like the leather whips with the fringe. I love those because they can tickle or they can, cause a little pain. I like to be spanked. That's my kink. So that's, and they have whole kits dedicated to bondage for beginners. So if you're curious and want to spice some things up and want to explore with your partner, my suggestion to you would be to look into the beginner bondage kits. They usually include handcuffs. They usually include the whip that I was talking about. They have some other little goodies in there, and they usually include some vibrators, some little anal toys, anal beads. It just opens you up to a whole new world, and it can spice up your sex life. sir.
Yes. Yes.
Now we get to the part of the podcast, because this is pillow talk, which we were doing, but now we're going into
Mhm.
the confessions part of our podcast. Is there a confession you briefly mentioned earlier, but would you like to elaborate on any one of those stories? We've already touched on the blood plug. I'm curious about the whole bondage situation myself. Would you be willing to,
Okay, so just to explain, well, my whole thing with bondage, I'm not even going to say it's really a kink for me. I've described before that I do have an addiction to power. For me, honestly, you can say that I'm a dom, but honestly, I like the power. If you're going to submit to me, I like to see that look in your eyes. It has to be genuine. You can be pretend to be into it, and I'm gonna know. And the thing is, I'm going to figure out what really does turn you on, and then I'm going to leave you hanging, and I'm going to get off to leaving you hanging. Even though I actually have more of a thing is I like to please though too. So yeah. But that's where my thing with bondage really came from. But I really got taught, about the whole bondage thing from the same woman that introduced me to vibrators. And I learned from her that you don't basically hold a vibrator on a woman like you trying to give her a fucking tattoo. You're not trying to sign your name like a yearbook. It like I said before, she was pissed. And it took a few moments because, like, at that point, she wasn't really in the mood. But I made a strong argument. I did need to learn. So, what I can say before you get to that point of what would you want the listeners to take away from this? Men, women, people, whomever you're interested in, like with the opposite sex or that sex or whatnot, I encourage you to learn about how the body works for that, your significant other. For men, if you're interested in women, learn how women orgasms work and how sexual toys and stuff like that they do use work. The more you know, the better you can please. Maybe the less arguments and the less things you run into that'll really be bothersome and whatnot. But yeah, so I'm glad that you guys are here listening, and expanding your minds. But yeah, but that helped me, at least learn a few things that, oh, okay, this isn't just, for me, because of course I was still young. I was still learning that, oh, it's not all about, just a quick pump and dump. No, sometimes you gotta slow down the pace. It's different. I was starting to learn that, hey, this vagina don't work the same as the last vagina I was with. What gives? She talks to me like I'm just, like I'm the same dude that she was with before, but I'm not like him. But I'm still thinking, like I'm thinking to myself, I'm not him. But I expect her vagina to be like the last vagina I was working with. So yeah, think. Yeah, everybody, yeah, learn. But she
That.
taught me about bondage. She was the one that was into bondage. And the whole candle wax thing, like I said, that was an accident. We spilled the candle, and the wax got on my chest and like on my stomach. It was not cool. It was not like, what's up? I'm not into that. And on top of that, I lost some hairs on my chest for a while too. So I already know that. Yeah, I'm not ever gonna go get like a Brazilian wax or anything like that. I don't care if I get married and that like that. Look, if you don't, I'm not into butt play. But if you don't like looking at a hairy butthole, well, either you have to learn how to shave up there because I can't see it, and I don't trust myself with a blade up there. It's dark, and I flinch. And we're off topic here because blades aren't generally toys unless you're into that type of play. In which I can say, make sure you use alcohol on them blades to clean them off. Be safe. I love you, and you crazy. But I say that in the most positive way possible. And just refer back to I love you.
Alrighty then. So
There's my
thank
confession.
you for making this a pleasant confession. So on my end,
Mhm.
oh, this is a lovely story that ties back to about 3, 4 episodes ago when we were talking about cheating. Well, not 3, 4 episodes, but whichever one it was. You guys can, go back through the playlist. And um the advice that I received when I was having difficulties with, the sex life, um, in the marriage was to start using vibrators. Oddly enough, it was coming from the person I ended up having the affair with, but that's another story. Because remember before that, I was, very sheltered and had only had a few partners and really didn't know too much about, I knew sex toys existed, but never used them. And so the first purchase I made was a rabbit vibrator. It was about 50
I like
bucks.
the first thing you
And
said.
anyway, and I waited until I was alone in a house and I went to the restroom, got on the floor because I didn't know what to expect. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be interesting. And I had never squirted before. So the very first time I did it, I thought I pissed on myself. And I was so like freaked out and embarrassed. I was like, what the hell just happened to me? Like, what the hell? Like, I it felt good and I would do it again. And that's when I could learn I could do it multiple times. So now this new hobby that I had was, whenever I got alone, I was using my toy. And it wasn't until I got with the other gentleman who ended up being my side piece, I guess. And we explored the toys and things like that. What was funny with him was he got upset because I had told him that I could squirt, but he couldn't make me squirt. And that was something he had prided himself in. And I'm like, well, I must just be difficult to please because, you out here being able to make other women do that. And I'm a challenge for you. So maybe you finally met your match. But, we experimented with couples toys, which I like pleasantly, on my end because, they have the one where it's like a cock ring, so it goes around the penis and it not only stimulates the clitoris, but it has some sensation on the taint and the anus. So that was nice, So I was getting triple the pleasure, So, yes. So, and then I learned about other, vibrators. Most vibrators usually come with bullets. Even the my treasured rabbit. My next one that I'm hoping to invest in is this wand that I keep hearing so much about. One of our fellow group members and past guest Lauren says that is one of the best vibrators on the market. So I want to test it out and see exactly if it lives up to, that reputation. So I think other than that, let me see. Is there another confession or good story? No, I mean, I at one point in time when I first started China Secret, I wanted to be an adult boutique. So I wanted to carry the toys, as well as lingerie. At the time it wasn't sleepwear because I'm the sleepwear queen. So, meaning I love sleepwear. Like if anybody ever wants to know what they can get me for Christmas, always some new pajamas. And now that I sell them, just purchase some pajamas and send them to me. Thank you. I wear a size 1X, 2X. Side note, ChinaSecret.com. Gotta put that plug in. Anyway, I started out, trying to sell sex toys. And that was when I realized, you know, it wasn't like just going into the adult toy store. There were a plethora of toys. And at one point, I had 2,000 different items listed on my site. Let me say that again, 2,000 different items, not like the quantity of the items, like were, I mean, there was so many different vibrators, so many different bondage sets, swings, the pillows, like just so many different items. It's like a whole world that people just don't understand or even just realize exists. And I'm just like, I had a turnkey store. So I was like, okay, I can't keep up with all of this. This is just way too many products for me to have stored in my knowledge base. And that was when I realized I was like, okay, well, I need to one, cut this in half, and two, really think about whether or not I should be investing in this arena. And that's when, again, China Secret went through a whole rebranding and all that great stuff. But I will say, on the other side, the confession is when you're selling sex toys, you really need to know your stuff, because you will get asked some very random questions. And if you don't have that knowledge base, it's probably not the industry for you. That's my confession. And now, what I want people to know about sex toys that they may not know is you should put condoms on your sex toys. This can help reduce the spread of STDs and STIs. Not all sex
Makes it
toys
easier to
can,
clean.
yes, and not all sex toys can be cleaned in the same way. There are some chemicals that don't react well to the type of materials that these sex toys are made of. And if you hear somebody just say, "Oh, just clean it with, dish soap and water," no. Ask the person who is selling you the sex toys what is the proper way to clean the sex toys. If they cannot tell you that, I do not recommend that you purchase your sex toys from that person anymore, because they don't know enough about their products, and that is not something that you want to, you know, invest in, because if you use the wrong cleaner or clean the toy improperly, you're exposing yourself to bacterial infections, fungal infections, and things like that. You have to understand there are toys that are made out of wood. There are toys that are made out of glass. There are toys that are made out of silicone. There are toys that are made out of a mix of silicone and another type of plastic. You need to do your research before you purchase and invest in toys, because these things are coming in contact with your body. So, a bit for the day.
Right.
Lastly, make sure lubricant and you use the proper lubricants, and that you are aware of any allergies, because you may be allergic to some of the materials that the sex toys are made out of. So, I think the last thing was, which I don't think we mentioned, the Germans discovered that the oldest known sex toy was 30,000 years old, and it was a siltstone dildo. So somebody was messing around and putting stone up their body orifices.
Which runs into the very last thing that I had on my mind and that I wanted to say. It's a joke, but it's very much true. Anything can be a dildo if you're brave enough.
You remember that cucumber challenge, right?
Nope. But I remember a whole bunch of people putting eggplants and stuff in their mouth out here in my city.
Well, the cucumber challenge was about a year or two ago, maybe even longer. I'm into, the pop culture, but
You
not so
talking
much
about Beat
anymore.
King? That guy Beat
Mm,
King?
no, this was actually a whole thing where they had like a party and women were sticking cucumbers in places where the sun don't shine. Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah,
did
if I can
anybody make
find,
like a
hmm,
did anybody make like a joke video where you put in a cucumber and out comes like, a pickle?
I'm done. Anyway, I
I
am
want to see
so
the
done with
joke
you.
video. I don't want to see the real video. I want to see the jokes. So yeah, as you were saying.
I'm done with you. So we're going to wrap this up, and what I want people to take away from today's episode is to expand your knowledge. If you are curious or want to spice up um your sex life, and you were kind of not sure what the direction to go in, hopefully this podcast kind of started you out, kind of showed you what the toys are used for and how to use them properly. And now you can take this information and invest in your pleasure. So I just want to remind you all to please remember to like, comment, rate, and subscribe. Make sure you join our Facebook group, Pillow Talk Confessions, so that way you can vibe with the tribes and connect with us on a more intimate level. We post content daily. And if you want to stay updated and know when the next episode or what the next episode will be, definitely check us out on Instagram at Pillow Talk Confessions Podcast. Until later, lovers, lurkers, and listeners, we will catch you next time. Love you later.
Peace.